Hey guys, this is Banning from the Nosebleeds podcast. I'm one of 3 hosts, including Cam and Colin, and each week we have an episode where we talk about everything that happened from the past week in sports, and we also have an Instagram at _nosebleeds_podcast where we try to post daily, and we have daily polls, and we try to stay interactive with the fans. If this interests you and you would like to listen to the podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. We're just starting out. At the time of this recording, we're only 4 episodes in, and each week we're trying to get better and improve. So if this sounds like something you want to listen to, hopefully you'll check us out. We're on Spotify and Apple Music, hopefully YouTube in the future. And if you want to find the older episodes, episode 1 and 2, we are on SoundCloud, but all the new episodes will be on Spotify and Apple Music from now on. And we have updates on our Instagram almost every day. So if this sounds like something you would like to listen to, hopefully you'll check us out, and we'll see you in our next episode.
I am Wes, modern mythology enthusiast and defender of the realm of toy collecting. This is Andy, my fearless friend. Fabulous secrets were revealed to me the day I powered up my dynamic mic and said, "Welcome to Fandom Power!" Andy became the mighty producer Andrew Daw, and I became host Wes, the newest pop culture podcaster on the interwebs. Only 2 others shared this secret, friend of the show and regular co-host Hank McLaughlin, and my lovely wife Kimberly. Together we explore the realms of fandom and bring it to you as only we can. Fandom Power is available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Fandom Power is a Sawcast production.
Welcome back to the Square. I am your host, Curtis V,
and I'm Curtis IV.
So today's episode, we are going to pay homage in honor of March Madness kicking off. First weekend is gone. Came and went. Crazy stuff happened. Illinois is already out of it. Loyola Chicago comes back with a vengeance again as they make it back into the tournament.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah. We're not going to touch on that portion of it. We just wanted to do a little bit more of a lighter episode here. And so we, in honor of that, we do want to do a greatest or best sports movie of all time. We created our own bracket here. And so we'll eventually get through the full 32 that we ended up picking. We didn't do all 64, and that just would have been wild. But so
That's too many movies.
That's a lot of movies. So yeah, this is going to be just something a little bit more lighter, a little bit more fun. Some debates are going to happen here, and we want you guys to debate too. So comment down below what you think of the bracket. You can actually go check out the bracket over on Twitter at _square pod, and all of the different division brackets are up there with the 8-team bracket or the 8 movie bracket for each of the 4 divisions there. So you can see what the rankings are and whatnot. But today we are going to kick off with the quote-unquote North Division here. And so the first 8 movies that we will discuss in this episode are going to be at the 1 seed, Rocky IV, which I think grossed over $300 million. We have the 2 seed, Remember the Titans, a Disney classic there. 3 seed, Cinderella Man, just a all-around great movie. 4 seed, Coach Carter, and that's going to take on Youngblood at the 5.
Dark Horse.
Yeah. 6 is going to be The Program. 7, The Legend of Bagger Vance. One of only 2 golf movies that are both fantastic in this on the bracket here. And then at the 8 seed, it's going to be Bull Durham. So, let's just dive right into this thing here, and let's just get it out of the way. Let's 1 versus 8, Rocky IV versus Bull Durham. I'll let you introduce these movies since they're both yours, and your picks that you brought in here. So
All right, so
let you kick things off here.
all right, so we're coming in at number one with Rocky IV, a 1985 classic. Arguably to this day can go arguably be one of the best, if not the best, Rocky movie that was created. I know there's the first two.
Which
There's also the Rocky 3 for those who like the Mr. T verse. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good franchise, but
fantastic franchise.
Rocky 4 was very revolutionary during the time it came out with the I believe with the Cold War that was going on, and it was Russia versus America, and it was very political, and then we got to see, the death of Apollo. If I'm giving any spoilers to anybody who happened to not have seen this movie by this point in time, yes. So Apollo Creed does, does die in this movie. But with that being said,
Right at the beginning, just heart wrenching.
yes, it was a very different toned.
Unceremoniously, it was.
Oh
God.
no, he went out. Yeah, it was really. I mean, you wanted
Unless he was
shut,
a Viking, that was like there's no die in battle honor here. He just
Nah, he just got decimated
completely.
And yes, and then of course Rocky exacts his revenge. Gets back on top, finds
America
a way to,
versus Russia.
David versus Goliath the story, and David wins it yet again. From unsurmountable odds, and and he comes out victorious.
Mm-hmm.
And is on his counterpart for those who really got to go back a little bit. Well, you gotta go back further, actually.
Not much further.
Up,
yeah,
go
no,
up
yeah.
3 years. It's actually
1988.
1988. The Kevin Costner classic Bull Durham, and others might have been thinking, oh, what about Field of Dreams? Field of Dreams is not in this bracket. So we're talking about Bull Durham, the Durham Bulls, that the minor league baseball team in Durham, North Carolina, was actually created after the actual Durham Bulls team. But it was fictitious characters. Of course, you got Kevin Costner, Tim Robbins. And for those who don't know what that is, that's Andy Dufresne from Shawshank Redemption, which he was a pitcher. Kevin Costner's the catcher. Susan Sarandon's the love interest, and so on and so forth. This is the crazy love triangle that's going on during the summer of this season, and and all the little kooky things that went on with that. It was slightly humorous, some comedy in there, but it did have a bit of a drama, but it was a absolute sports movie. But one of those '80s classics. That I thought got the record should have gotten more recognition than the eighth seed, but hey, someone has to, to fulfill the eighth seeds in these brackets.
And let me preface that, and for anybody saying that Bull Durham should be higher based off of how great that movie is, we did not do. We picked the movies to be a part of this bracket. We did not pick the seating. We basically did all of the seating based off of the box office grossing, so there was at least some semblance of non-bias when it comes to us picking the movies. We didn't want to also pick the matchup, so that's the reason why it's an 8 seed. It didn't make as much money, nearly as much money as Rocky IV did. Actually, no movie on this list made anywhere. I think it was $70 million more Rocky IV made than any other movie on this list. So
exactly. And with that, we probably won't pay too much attention to the seeds in the first round. It probably more relevance as we move on through the rounds.
Yeah.
So we have Bull Durham. So those are the two matchups. And this is for me to pick, or we?
I mean, we're both picking. Basically, how we're gonna do it is, it's gonna be you pick yours, I pick mine. If we end up in a tie, we go over to a coin flip, because that's just the easiest and most fair way to do it.
We got a boxing movie versus a baseball movie. So with baseball comes a lot of weight. We got a lot of fans out there of baseball. So this one could be an upset. However, for me, I unfortunately cannot choose Bull Durham over Rocky IV due to the fact that Rocky IV is by far if anybody knew any of this about me, I've seen this movie probably over 100 and some odd times. I can't even tell you countless times I went to the actual theater or been taken to the theater as a kid to go see this.
Yeah.
Once it came on cable, that went into overdrive every single time it came on. Anytime I turned the TV on and it was on, I stopped and I watched it every single time. Went to the video store, rented it countless times, which is unheard of. Who goes back and keeps renting the same movie over and over again? And I'm talking about over the course of several years, not even in the same year that it was released. So,
Well, I
um,
think we are easily in agreement here. I'm going Rocky 4 as well.
so
Um,
yeah, in a landslide, I
yeah,
think Rocky Four will get the nod over,
for sure.
unfortunately, Bull Durham.
For sure, I'm putting Rocky 4 through. And it's not any knock to Bull Durham. It's just you're going up against a Goliath, like you said earlier in Rocky 4, which just there's too many great memories. I'm sorry, minor league baseball doesn't do it for me when it comes to going up against Rocky Balboa. I'm sorry, it just doesn't hold its own weight.
Minor league baseball, fictitious boxing
There's
sanctioned
for me, there's just
division.
better. I mean, other baseball movies can definitely compete against Rocky 4, maybe, but I just sorry, Bull Durham doesn't for me. You got to go Major League versus Major League, and this is not it.
Gotcha.
Um, but let's just go down the list then. Let's go with a 5-4 matchup to complete this side of the bracket. Youngblood is the 5 seed, the underdog here, a hockey movie going up against Coach Carter. Samuel L. Jackson has always got some fantastic staying power. I mean, I'll let you give your synopsis of Youngblood, and then I guess since Coach Carter is my pick, I'll give the synopsis of that one. But for Coach Carter, a movie about basketball and a coach himself who is just trying to get these kids out of the just monotony of the streets and just how dangerous it can be, and just to keep these kids in check. And it shapes the way that I have always viewed coaches in my life and in the years that I've played sports in high school and whatnot. Because just you want to have that role model figure, and I think that Coach Carter really does encapsulate that entire embodiment of a coach who really is about discipline and not just, hey, let's do whatever we can to win. It's more about, let me shape you as a man, as an adult, and as a human being, and
Mhm.
the values that you should have. So that's one of the reasons why I put Coach Carter on my list in the first place, is just not just the basketball portion of it, just the kind of the life teaching moments that are a part of this movie as well. But I'll let you dive into Rob Lowe and Youngblood a little bit here,
All
as it's the
right.
only hockey movie on our list.
The only one, and then because it's a good one, but a very underrated one. I mean, but this one we got to go all the way back into the archives, 1986. Mr. Dean Youngblood, played by Rob Lowe, which is basically a 17-year-old phenom who's looking to try to go into looking to get into the NHL, but gets picked up by one of these, if I remember correctly, a Canadian team, the Mustangs, and it almost looked like the Detroit Red Wings on there. And of course, he's lightning fast. If you could just think of a sleeker, um, sexy type, Wayne Gretzky, this is who he was. And like he was awesome. However, he was 17, so he was cotton soft. And then there was the antagonist, Mr. Ratke over there, who they were competing for the last spot on the team. And of course, the coaches go with Youngblood due to his talents and his skills and his upside. And Racky, which was the enforcer, they just decided to part with him, and then he ends up going to the rival team, of course, which they finally meet up toward the end. But before that, even that end of that exchange of that tryout, Racky and Youngblood get into it, and basically Racky just beats down Youngblood. And so through the course of the movie, it's about Youngblood basically toughening up to the point where he walked away from the team. Then he goes to his brother and father. They basically teach them being back on the farm, and they basically taught him how to fight, and taught him how to toughen them up. And then he comes back to the team, asks to come back on, to be reinstated. They don't really show how that happened, but he gets reinstated on the team. And then, of course, they are playing for a championship. And there's other stars in there like Patrick Swayze's, rest in peace, Patrick Swayze. I forgot when he died some years ago. But
Yeah.
this was also, Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze was also starred in The Outsiders, so it was just one of them other movies that they starred in together.
It seems that happens a lot, where you just make friends on a movie, and then all of a sudden they're doing Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and everything together.
Yeah, you see that a lot. It's just they same
The Rock,
agents.
Hart,
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Hart, just always in something together now. I just find that to be funny. That has nothing to do with
No, yeah,
anything.
but it's one of those connections that
Yeah.
that happened in it. Yeah, so they started those two movies together. But it was one of those movies I liked it a lot, considering I don't really follow hockey, but for a hockey movie, that really did it for me. But and as a kid growing up, I kind of grew up watching Patrick Swayze and Rob Lowe, so this was kind of drew me in, and so it's one of those underrated movies, and based on the time frame, it doesn't get a whole lot of traction, but here we got it at the 5 seed here going against Coach Carter, so
Yeah.
that's Youngblood.
All right. Well, then let's get to picks here. Then, I got to go with Coach Carter. Like I said, it just reminds me of when I look back at coaches. You kind of compare them to the people that you've seen. I compare them to Coach Carter, and I've had a lot of coaches that have had the disciplinary actions such as Coach Carter did. So I definitely have some nostalgia with this movie, just kind of seeing myself in it. So.
I don't want to pick no knock to the millennials out there or anything, but I think this is a good Youngblood would be a good educational video today to see the toughness that you don't really see in
well, that's
in
something that I think a lot of people don't even understand about hockey itself. Hockey is a tough sport.
Yes.
It is cutthroat. It's absolutely grueling. For first of all, but I mean it's actually like a cutthroat community too. So it's like, yeah, I never knock that at all. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I guess we have to come down to, does it going to be Coach Carter and Youngblood? You slide into a Coach Carter. I can see that Coach Carter was based on a true story. Therefore, it actually did happen there. I can search the globe and I would never find Dean Youngblood.
Yeah.
So, the hockey player, So, but with that it gives some kind of substance to this, it actually happened, that and with this man and his impact with his team and his community, as well as the school, and it just, yeah. So unfortunately I can't let Youngblood pass during this one, as much as I would like to, but it was one of those swinging for the fence picks, but it did make our list. So if y'all have not seen Youngblood, I would recommend you all please go check it out. Write in the comments, let me know what you think about it. If you thought it was crap. Now, granted, I didn't see it recently, so I don't know if it's like cheesy.
Maybe if it doesn't hold up. Yeah.
Right. Did it translate time? The way I remembered it, it was fine. So
a lot of these movies don't hold up, especially with some of the views some of these people had. And some of these, I mean, you're going way back to the 80s with a lot of the movies that we have on this list. So. Ooh.
We said the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, no, and they are great. I mean, Rocky IV to me definitely holds up. I mean, it's on TNT every other weekend.
Exactly.
No. We're staying chalk so far. Kind of going with the Rocky winning the first one. Coach Carter at the 4 wins the second matchup. Down the list then, Cinderella Man versus The Program. Man, Cinderella Man is one of my favorite movies, boxing movies anyway, outside of the Rocky franchise. So I just love that movie just based off of, again, it doesn't have so much to do with the actual boxing in the movie, even though there are some fantastic action scenes in this movie. But just the way that he kind of managed being with the Great Depression and whatnot, having to deal and get in fight for his family. It wasn't just a fight in the ring. It was also reflecting in a metaphor for his fight for his livelihood, his survival during the time of the Great Depression. So that movie had a lot of great storytelling elements. It had a lot of great metaphors, and it just really hit home with just being able to have, like you said in the last podcast, that dog in you to try to scrap and fight. So I think that this movie definitely encapsulates that for sure. But The Program is one of yours. The Program is one movie that I've never seen. So you're definitely going to have to take the lead on that one.
All right. 1993 college football, it looked like it was a knockoff from the Florida State Seminoles. Actually was, if I remember correctly, it was South Carolina University that they filmed this movie. Where they filmed the movie at, which was just shocking. Because all
Yeah.
these years I thought it was Florida State, and they wasn't even in the state of Florida when they filmed. But they also, fun fact, they actually filmed this movie on location at Duke University, which I found out recently, and I thought that was a nice little fun fact, being I'm a Duke fan.
There it is, all over North and South Carolina. Then.
Exactly. So it was all over the Carolinas, but it was exactly what the title is. It was about the program, about their how their football program was ran, and I mean, from boosters to just ignoring the obvious lewd behaviors of the team doing something to embarrass the program. Therefore, some players got disciplined, others didn't necessarily, based on the value of who you were. If you was a backup, you basically couldn't make any mistakes. But if you was a starter and a star, there was space made for you, whether it was with your classes, whether it was with disciplinary actions. I mean, they had bouts with a guy on the team that was dealing with steroids. You had another guy who was just trying to, make all pro, and was on pace. Massive injury. Not takes this person out. Then you got the rookie or the freshman that comes in, and then there's a running back competition between the star running back that's there and the phenom that's coming up, Mr. Darnell Jefferson, played by Omar Epps, and now they got this 2-back system, so they got like thunder and lightning basically. So, and then you got Joe Kane, who was the the starting quarterback, who was in contention for the Heisman. So it was just all of this stuff going on. It's all about, it begins with them talking about who they trying to recruit. Yeah. And the movie ends with them talking and having the same conversation walking down the field.
It's college football for you.
Exactly. It just gets right into the next class. And,
yeah.
And it begins again. It's just a conveyor belt. So that's the program, and it's just showing this team just capturing them in this 1 year, trying to make a bowl game, not even trying to get the national title, just trying to be contentions and contend for a bowl game. And that's real huge with these universities, because there's a lot of money being exchanged in these bowl games. So
a lot, and we'll talk about that in a future episode for sure. But yeah, no, that's the program for you. That is a movie that grossed $23 million. Like you said, came out in 1993. I hope it's a fantastic movie. I mean, I think all of these movies that are on this list are worth watching. Everybody should at least see them once. So I have to go back and find some time to go watch this movie. But
James Caan, Omar Epps, Holly Berry.
I mean, Omar Epps already just makes me want to watch this movie. So for sure,
James Caan. If anybody don't know who that is, remember Misery? Remember the guy on the bed in Misery? That's James Caan.
I thought you were talking about Star Trek for a second. No, I'm kidding. I'm playing. That's a joke. No. So going up against Cinderella Man, though, I think that Cinderella Man is just too good of a movie. And just to me, I mean, I have nothing. I'm basing this off of nothing because I haven't seen the program, but I have to put Cinderella Man through.
I want to put the program through, but just the fact that you have not seen it just really just not doing this movie any justice whatsoever. That's another one you need to put on your list: the program and Youngblood. However, but looking at the movies from top to bottom, being that I did see both of them, Cinderella Man was written terrifically. The way just capturing just from the livelihood of the Great Depression.
Mm-hmm.
The rise and fall, the things that happen in that, because we really don't know. Because
the movie starts off in the Roaring '20s, where they were very financially stable. I think they had just bought a house at the beginning of the movie, kind of newlyweds and everything like that. And then it just immediately cuts to how, I mean, and I love the way that they did it with the imagery there, but the way that they just cut straight into the Great Depression back to back with those two scenes is powerful.
Yes, like it was showing you by the wedding picture.
Yeah,
the wedding picture was once in a frame, then the frame was even gone. Like they had to sell their frames. I'm like, man, it had to be rough when somebody gonna buy your frames. Like a picture frame. unless it was really worth something. But I mean, yeah, then you
Probably
just see
not.
this,
Just
right? You
needed
just
the
seen this
$2.
yeah, you just all of a sudden seen this old beat up picture sitting on a dresser with no frame all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
it really it that first half of the movie really captured the dismal lifestyle of where James Braddock was with his family, and just it was really a movie about, like you were saying, about survival, and he happened to be a boxer,
Yeah.
and they kind of captured that, so you got to see that journey, and just to get that full story, that it was more than. I mean, yeah, we get into Rocky, but we don't really break down Rocky's life per se. You know,
Not as much,
They
no.
attempted toward the end when Rocky
Yeah.
Balboa, but we're talking about a whole nother movie now. So,
Yeah.
but with that being said, yeah, I would definitely have to vote Cinderella Man in. That's not saying anything against the program. I
Yeah.
just think the program got
Nothing is getting a bad
they got
rap
a
here.
bum matchup
Yeah.
today. So
100%.
I think if you put them up to over half of this list, I think the program could technically stand personally. That's a
Sure.
personal bias, but it's based on what I've seen.
But that's what that's Bull Durham. It holds up against a lot of the other movies on this list. It got a bad matchup with Rocky IV. So I agree with you there totally. And we are staying completely chalk here. Again, another higher seed makes it on through with the 3-seed Cinderella Man going in 2-0. So let's wrap up this first round of the North Division here. We got Remember the Titans, again, like I said, a Disney classic, going up against The Legend of Bagger Vance. I'll let you take Legend of Bagger Vance, and you can kick things off with the 7-seed there. Kind of give a little bit of a synopsis of the movie, introduce it to the viewers here, and and then I'll take over Remember the Titans.
Like you keep giving me the lower seeds.
Well, it's your movie. So
actually, you picked this one.
Oh yeah, I did. Never mind. Sorry.
These are
We picked this one together, actually. Technically,
these are your matchups.
We made a little bit of a last second judgment to put in the two movies that we did to the two golf movies.
So what we got here is high school football versus golf. No, it's pro golf. I guess
it's pro golf.
It was pro golf. Yeah, so it was the pros. So The Legend of Bagger Vance. Okay, it's about a Matt Damon's character Randolph Jr. Just up and coming amateur golfer who was just a phenom. Like he can hit the ball further, and he can drive the ball further than most. He can he was basically
Man
he
was
was
a
anything
machine with a golf club.
he was anything less than a pro, but playing at the amateur level, and he was on pace. Of course, World War I comes up. All men are called to fight for their country. He goes and fights for his country, but of course tragically his whole company gets killed in combat, but he survives.
Yeah.
So he disappears for a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he just shows back up at home in Savannah, Georgia. And he almost looked like he's kind of a bum, or just kind of like down and out, which he really isn't. He's depressed.
Yeah.
He's just kind of doing his own thing. He's just kind of hanging out at the house, drinking and playing cards and stuff. And just he's just becoming a recluse at this point. So all of us, so in the midst of him talking, or they sent there's this tournament that they want to do because of the depression, that they got this brand new golf course that was supposed to launch, and of course the Great Depression happens, and nobody you have got this big investment that just basically is about to plummet. So the father who owned of the love interest of Matt Damon in the movie, he owns the golf course, and of course because of the mounting bills, all you do is see a silhouette, and he kills himself. He basically shoots himself in the head in his office, and then his daughter comes to find him like that. So she's trying to have this this grand tournament for one weekend that's basically going to just pay for or keep the golf course going, or revitalize people to come back to come to this what do we call them, country club golf courses.
Country club.
That's what it was, a country club. So, and it's just trying to get investors to come back in, so they have this tournament. But they to go a long way, they get these two. It's like as if they went and asked for Tiger Woods and Roy McIlroy or somebody, and then Randolph Jr. like to be a local who can actually draw some attention of and some traction with the locals. And of course, he hasn't played golf in years. So so through the process, they send this little kid to go and tell him about it, and it just got him thinking. So he goes out in the middle of in the middle of the night, just driving balls out into the middle of the field. And all of a sudden, we see this character Will Smith comes up, and he's Bagger Vance,
Mhm.
and he just comes out of nowhere. So I'm not going to give the movie away to anybody, but they have a very interesting, relationship, and he basically becomes his caddy, and he kind of coaches him through and helps him get back to where he was, where a lot of it was he had to introspectively look at himself,
Yeah.
and get over his own little demons and personal shortcomings. So I thought it was a great movie about competition and focus and drive, and you those kinds of messages can translate into any sport, but to see it in a golf movie, I was like, I don't even play golf. I barely play miniature golf, and yet this movie, I mean, just had me glued, completely, um, and as the movie goes, there's a tournament, but that's the legend of Bagger Vance,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out who is this mystical Bagger Vance anyway, in
Yeah.
relation to the movie.
No, that's a fantastic movie, fantastic synopsis of it. It has a lot of powerful moments in it. I love that movie. It not too much more to say about it than what you put out there, but it's going up against the 2 seed here. Remember the Titans.
We remember them.
Dude. Yeah. So remember the Titans. I mean, we all know it. It's a Disney classic. It's a movie about a high school football team. You got Denzel Washington takes over as a head coach.
And boom.
Yep, trying to and it takes place during the time of segregation, kind of, well, I guess towards the end of segregation, as they're trying to bring these two schools together.
70s.
Yeah, but it's just a story about how the football aspect of it is more about how you bring a team together, no matter what your backgrounds are, what your differences are, where you come from, who your parents are. It doesn't matter. When it comes down to bare bones, it's your talent and what you can bring to the team, and what you can do to play into a team, and be it that it is football, it's the ultimate team sport. And that's the base layer of things there. But it's really more about, again, another another movie about a coach really trying to get down to the brains of these children, and really get them to understand and grow as men, and become a family. And that's what a lot of football is, whether it's high school, college, or NFL. It's a one huge family that the whole organization needs to come together to be successful. And it really hits on tropes for going with the black versus white, especially with the two linebackers, as they become brothers really in the end.
D-line, actually.
Were they?
Yeah.
I felt no.
Yeah.
Football's a positionless game anyway now. So, but at the end of the day, it's really about how they bring this team together. There's so many fantastic points where you're looking at where the refs are being racist, and they're calling phantom penalties here or there, and you have to have the defensive coordinator come over, as he is the white savior here, and he comes in and definitely helps out and makes sure that the refs understand he knows what he's doing and everything like that. And there's just so many powerful moments where it really gets down to just what's going on in your brain, and how you view these kids and how you bring them together. So I think Remember the Titans is one of the best football movies. I mean, we got so many football movies on this list, but it's one of the better ones that we do have on the list. I mean, it's a high seed for a reason. But going up against Legend of Bagger Vance, this is a really tough matchup for me, in all honesty. So I'll let you kick off the picks here and give your reasons why.
Again, taking some of the key things that I can get from, let's say, from the Legend of Bagger Vance. Again, you have the scene where Matt Damon finally goes to Bagger Vance right before they're about to get ready and start the second half of the first round, and so he's about to get ready and putt, and then finally he just asks, he takes Matt Damon's character takes a step back and just asks him, okay, how do I see the field?
Mm-hmm.
And he told him just to focus on one of the other golfers who was about to get ready and do his about to get ready and get ready and swing and begin the second round. And just that scene, it was a illustration of focus.
Yeah.
And it was at the first point where he was helping Matt Damon to remember and refocus and become the golfer he always was. It was just inside of him. He just had to, find the confidence within himself and and settle himself down enough in the tournament and just play the way he used to play when he used to play carefree.
Yeah.
And he was out there just trying to prove something, and he was really stinking it up. But that scene right there was a shift in the movie. That there made the whole movie for me. Just that one scene. I didn't care less what happened after that, because that scene could be like, again, because I played football, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I played softball, I played track and field. I played a lot of different sports over the course of my childhood and my early adulthood, and that type of message can translate to every single sport that I played. And that's the type of pep talks that I would need, that would get me pumped up. And I'm like, I'm over here watching a golf movie, and I don't even play golf. It didn't make me want to go grab a golf club and run out there, but it damn sure made me want to go grab a football or go grab a basketball somewhere. I think I can actually go out there and do something to hurt myself. But
this is not the movie that made me pick up a golf club, but the other one that we do have on a bracket did, which we will get to in a later.
That's a whole different beast over there. And so you have that. So I'm looking at. I have this movie about focus, and it can even be translated to life, technically, versus Remember the Titans, and very inspiring. I mean, they ran the table, basically, because Herman Boone was put up against it. I mean, you talk about insurmountable odds. The man couldn't lose any games, or they were going to fire him. So from day one,
that's what they wanted to do. It's just he knew it too.
He was set up to fail. And so the only way he was going to save his job was win the championship and be undefeated. He couldn't lose any games, and they didn't lose any. It was miraculously. An accident happened in the movie, and they lost one of their key players. I'm not giving it away for all you who for some reason didn't see this movie, but with that being said, and they still win the champion. They found a way to win the championship. But I mean, and what I liked about the movie, it wasn't one of these typical football movies where you see all this offense and all, It's the defense was goodness. It was like the '85 Bears.
My goodness,
man, this was high school,
and that's what kind of threw me off about it a little bit more, because revisionist history here, looking back on the movie. It's a Disney movie too. Yeah. So you're thinking like, oh, they got to have all this glitz and glam. They really got gritty with it and went really big into the defensive side of the ball.
They did. I mean, you got that side, and that's just from the football. But like you were saying, we got a lot of, we dealing with like political and social issues, race relations,
racial justice issues.
All of that's happening in the midst of this town and this football team.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is a very tough matchup. But I mean, I honestly got to go on the limb, and I got to take Legend of Bagger Vance over this one.
No, and I wouldn't be mad if either one of these makes it through. Going into it, I had Remember the Titans, so this is going to come down to a coin flip, which we can just get that out of the way. But at the end of the day, the reason why I take Remember the Titans over Legend of Bagger Vance really just comes down to which one do I think about more when I think about sports movies. It's going to be Remember the Titans. So that's the only reason why. It's really 50-50. I like both of these movies equally.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why. But I mean, we'll put it up to a coin flip. Heads will be the 2 seed, and then vice versa. So put that up there. We got heads.
Who was that?
That's going to be Remember the Titans goes through. So we went chalk in this first episode. Let us know what we're wrong about. Let us know what we got wrong here. And let us know your thoughts of any of these movies from this first round here of the North here. Next episode will be the East, and we'll get into that. But definitely, like I said, let us know what you think down below. Like, rate, review, share, subscribe this episode and the podcast in general. Again, we want to grow. We want to get bigger. and we want to reach more people here and create a community of sports fans. So definitely reach out there.
Question: do we have any polls going up for these brackets or anything?
I will put them up once we get the episodes up, so you can definitely find the polls on Twitter to vote which one you feel is the winner. So definitely go check that out there. That's at @the_square pod. And you can find all of that information and all of the polls there. And like I said, you can also see all of the brackets as they stand right now.
And by doing so, you can follow along with us and see how much your bracket may variate from
Exactly.
ours. I mean, as you can see, we are actually debating who goes back. We just did our first coin flip, so I don't like how that fell at all, because I thought I gave a very compelling 5-minute soliloquy on The Legend of Bagger Vance.
You did, but the coin disagrees.
So I'm going to tell you all, for y'all who have not seen this movie, I know it's about golf, but it's about a whole lot of other things. Stars Matt Damon and Will Smith, so there you go. There's your draw.
Go watch all of these movies because they are all fantastic. They're all worth being watched. So
they're not all going to be your typical, the ones you know. I know we threw the Rockies out there. We're going to stretch you.
We got some interesting ones in here, so you'll definitely be in for a treat coming back for more here. So that was just, again, the first episode. Definitely come back for more. Like I said, next up is going to be the East Division. You can definitely go see what that's all about and what movies are a part of that bracket on Twitter. But yeah, like I said, again, like, rate, subscribe, and definitely share the podcast to continue to have us grow, reach more people here. So thank you guys again, and you guys have a good rest of your day.
Have a good night.